Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Bill Frantz Show. We have a good show for you today. We're going to start with Syria. Bill, what's going on with Syria, man?
Man, Syria is looking like a serious mess. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Latest news is Hezbollah.
Okay.
They have joined the fray, and guess who they're siding with? They're siding with Assad.
Right.
Because, you know, it's all about different groups now. It was originally about democracy, and like so many times when democracy things start out, it ends up being much more. So now it's becoming a civil war. Interestingly, joining the rebels, who we are supposedly supposed to be friendly with,
Right.
Al-Qaeda is now joining on the rebellion side. They're a small percentage, but they're taking their claim. So that's going to make some strange bedfellows as time goes on.
Right.
Russia's still going with Assad. Meanwhile, well, you got any reactions so far? There's more to say.
Man, I don't know, because right now my conspiracy theory mind is just kicking in, you know? I mean, is this designed for us to see this? Is this the way we're supposed to see it? Because just about a week ago, France and Britain says that Syria was using gas bombs on their own people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they said the same thing about Saddam. So, I mean, and then what did we find out about Saddam? He had no weapons of mass destruction. So, at that point, I don't know, man, because it seems as though Syria is the enemy now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
First it was Iraq, then North Korea, and Iran was part of it. I guess Syria is part of the axis of evil now, because they weren't at first.
Yeah, but they've been bad for a long time, according to the United States.
Yeah, according to the United States, I understand that. The United States. Let me inform something. Let me say something to the people out there. There are a lot of countries out there that are really bad towards their people, and it's not just 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them. It's quite a few countries out there that are Burma,
Yes.
really bad. I mean, you know. So what makes these people any worse? See, I think it's something going on, man. That there's an agenda.
Syria is not so much like Burma as much as it is kind of like what was happening in Africa in the 90s and the Bosnian War and things like that. Basically,
Right.
People are getting killed by the tens of thousands on a monthly basis there.
Okay.
And it's not like the Western governments are like, yeah, we're trying to ramp it up so that we can go and invade. I think they're more like, I wish this would stop happening so we don't get sucked in.
Right.
Because because what's happening is now the violence is spreading. It's spilling into Lebanon. It's spilling into Iraq. It's spilling into Jordan, and Turkey now has something going on, though it's unrelated, but it's causing more pressure. But I think that it's more like, what can we do to avoid a world war, rather than, hey, let's go invade that country.
Right.
Because
that could be the case, but what I'm saying is, though, I say this. During Desert Storm 1991, the information that American people were getting and what was actually going on in the country was two different things. So, with that, I'll say our intelligence might not be correct, or it might be correct. How do we know? Because it was wrong the intelligence was wrong when it came to 9/11. Our intelligence was wrong when it came to Iraq. So, who knows? And me speaking from actually being there, I'm telling you, things are not always what the news say it is.
So what are they saying that you think it should? That you disbelieve and think it's otherwise?
It's not that I disbelieve the violence is going on. It's just that, sometimes the violence can be ramped up. We can say that it's more violence than what it is. We can say a lot of different things because we have a world audience looking at this. If they're like that, it's so many other countries just like that and worse. They're at least in Syria. Those people are walking around. They got jobs. Go to Burma. Go see what Burma looks like, man.
Well, what you're talking
bad.
about is generally what the military-industrial complex agrees with, because they see it as a losing battle that they can't win, so they're avoiding it despite the fact that people are getting slaughtered, which is very different than, hey, people are getting slaughtered, let's go in there and take the oil.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is the same kind of lying. I think this is more almost the opposite, where the people out there in the world are saying, please help us, and we're saying, no, that doesn't work for our interests. Which is pretty damn different. I was listening to some, basically there's like 1 or 2 voices in Congress saying let's go into Syria, including John McCain, and everyone else is like, well, that's a quagmire.
We cannot police the world. We cannot go into. So, okay, let's say we go into Syria. We do that. Then another country does the same thing. Do we go into every country that does the same thing? Are we the world's police now, the United States?
Here's the conundrum: is that that's what they were saying all along, but now by neglecting it, it seems to be getting worse. The window of opportunity to put it down and help those people has passed, because that was like 2 years ago when it started, when we could have helped, but we didn't help, and now it's getting worse, and it may spreading out into other places, and it could. I'm afraid it's going to start another world war.
Well, we need to contain it then. But the thing is, the United States has to think, because the United States have done and been into a lot of countries. Every country we go in, we don't leave.
Libya.
One country. Okay, but in every other war, we are still there. So I guess the only thing I'm saying is that we have to really think about this one, because the Middle East has always had their problems. They always had the border issues with Israel. You know what I'm saying? It's always been, the Gaza Strip has always been a problem. You know, those folks, that's an internal family thing, because if you think about it, they're all related through the 12 tribes of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So whoever has the agenda, it seems there's an agenda, because we're going from war to war to war to war. How many wars are we going to go to?
I would say that the Syria is a damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Right.
Damned if you do because it's a quagmire and people get killed, and damned if you don't because people keep getting killed and it'll just get more destabilized the longer it doesn't get resolved. As far as Israel and all that whole family stuff, a lot of that Israel and the Middle Eastern border wars and stuff like that, the Western world is partially responsible for from the previous century, where we carved out their borders for them.
Right.
And now they're fighting because of that. That's also in Eastern Europe was the same thing, because outside forces came in and created arbitrary borders for them, and they didn't like it.
But they need to basically take control so they can create their own borders. But how are they going to do it when they're so busy fighting that they can't come with peaceful ideas to resolve the problem? But as far as the United States, I guess if it gets too bad, we're going to have to get involved. But this is just another war we're going to get into. When are we going to stop, man? When is enough enough?
We'll find out.
Sweet will.
Or the answer is we won't find out, because the fighting will continue long after we die, which is what we're trying to avoid.
Right, and it's because they have been fighting for a long time thus far. You know, never been no peace in the Middle East.
Well, there were times, but anyway, let's switch on to. Of course, Obama is that voice of reason that says, "Oh, let's not do it yet," and he's the one that saying there's a border which we must not cross, which may have been crossed, and he's still backing up more. Right. Now, this guy Obama, who generally liberals and myself has got himself in some more trouble. They've been collecting data from Verizon and one would expect other phone companies as well, all their records and things like that. Right. And it's kind of an embarrassment to security, and people like myself who believe in privacy are pretty upset about it. And he just yesterday came on and said, "No one's listening to your phone calls." You can believe that or not believe it. Right. I personally am suspicious, because they had to be exposed before they admitted what little they're admitting, and so there's still plenty more that isn't exposed. Right.
I totally agree with Bill on this one. I don't like it. Give us a valid reason,
Terrorism.
Come on, please. Give me a better reason than that, because you know who the terrorists are. You know how to target folks. Just like the police know who the drug dealers are in the street, you know who the terrorists are. No. So give us a better reason why you're collecting our data. Most Americans are not terrorists. Most Americans are patriotic. Even if they see it differently.
And they're claiming that they're just mining data and then looking for connections and studying those, but and of course we don't really do any listening. We've got a court order, but it turns out that every time they make a search warrant request, they always get it without any question. So that's suspicious. Right. They have also another program, it's I guess smaller, was one where they were. I think it was the Washington Post was claiming that. All the major internet companies like Microsoft and Google and others and stuff like that were all, the government had direct access to their records. Each and every one of those companies said that is not true. If given a specific search warrant, we provide that information. Otherwise, we don't. Right. Which is, I'm more willing to believe, because those companies, most of them are pretty independently, they demand their independence. And they should deny it, and they do, but you still got to wonder. It just makes you wonder. Well, privacy is getting taken away.
But that's true. We've been on that for a while. Ever
Yeah.
since, I mean, the Patriot Act is a mother sucker, boy.
Yeah.
It did something. It changed the dynamics of America. It really did. And most folks don't realize it. So your freedoms and your privacy, you might not have it no more. Big Brother's been watching for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not going to stop watching them. You know, you go anywhere in the streets, cameras on the streets. You know, there are going to be more cameras downtown and cities. I mean, Big Brother's watching now. It's too late.
Anybody who signed or supported someone who signed the Patriot Act, which is 98% of Congress,
Right?
should shut up, because this is the result of the Patriot Act.
Right.
And if you don't like this, then you've got to say the Patriot Act is a bad thing. Many people do, but a lot of congressmen and women are supporting Obama because they're security, but a few are not.
Right.
And everyone that says, Obama's bad because of this, let's look at their voting record. Did they vote for the Patriot Act and to renew it? I'll bet you they did, except for like 2 people.
I bet you they did.
Kucinich, we know, voted against it, and Ron Paul.
Right. Hey, so Congress, you're responsible for what's going on right now. But we understand, those of us who has our eyes wide open, we see where we're going. We see where the country's going. I don't know, man. The movie V. Watch the movie V for Vendetta.
All right, on that note, let's take a break.
Oh, I spilled coffee all over my lap, and that's after a really long traffic jam. Those kids were screaming at me. I've got all these unpaid bills, and I've got these allergies and a pounding headache. Oh, mother!
You shut your mouth and just say Damitol.
Damitol?
To hell with your headache.
To hell with my headache.
Tell that headache to go to hell. With Damitol.
Side effects of Damitol include nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal and rectal ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool, darkened soul, lycanthropy, trucanthropy, pride, shame, wonder, disinterest, hemorrhoids, disinterested hemorrhoids, diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism, gender impermanence, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar high, more vomiting, restless legs, and headaches.
My headache's gone!
And I own your soul.
Hey, welcome back to the Bill and Frantz Show. Frantz, what's going on now?
Man, what's up is this. Before we get started in Hollywood, I want to mention this. Sometimes I have to be the devil's advocate. Because why? Because I have to.
Because we're fair and balanced.
We're trying to be. We're Fox. Anyway, but in Hollywood, Paris Jackson tried to commit suicide. That's Michael Jackson's daughter. What do you
How
think
old is
about
she
that?
now?
Between ages 14
Is that the one that
16.
was hung out the window?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because they're the one with the draped over.
They were all draped, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
How many did he have? How many children did he have?
About 3 of them, I think.
Okay.
But she
So-
tried to kill herself, so what do you think about that, man?
It sounds like a continuing sad story of the Jackson family. I don't know much about her. Obviously, I didn't even know her name,
Right.
which is the idea. He wanted to protect her from all that.
Yeah, he sure
And
did.
it didn't work, obviously. She's still got a messed up life.
Man, gotta pray for that family, man, because it seems like there's a curse. I'm not saying there is a curse, but it just seems like that because, I mean, they start off bad. Joe Jackson won't tell the truth. He won't say that he beat his kids and kind of messed up their minds a little bit. And then Michael went out the way he went out. Now his daughter's going through these problems. Dr. Phil obviously is not going to help or can't help. I mean, maybe they just need the Lord. Maybe they need God. I don't know. But it's just sad to have a teen who wants to kill herself and she has not even experienced life yet.
There are a lot of indications that there was some abuse towards Michael. If you look at his history album and stuff and all that whole album, the artwork and stuff just says as well as his whole life.
Right.
But you're just like there's a lot of things that hint at that. But
Right.
I don't even know what was wrong with his daughter. She's mourning her dad for sure, but who
Right.
else? Who knows what else is going on?
Right. I mean, we don't know. I mean, those secrets are in that family. Something's going on in that family, straight up. And it wasn't just Michael that was abused. I know the other ones haven't came out and said anything, but there is no way that Michael was the only one abused in that family. If he was as strict as Michael said he was, he did that to all the boys. He made them. They all had to learn to sing and dance. And so, I don't know what to say, man. I just hope that she's okay. I hope that they get her some real help, because she's a beautiful young girl and she can definitely do something in her life. She has a purpose. Whatever's going on in that family, y'all have to be real with each other and seek some healing, man, because the only way that you're going to get past this as a family is y'all going to have to forgive each other and forgive yourselves. There's no other way, because you can't hold guilt for years and years and years and think that things are going to be okay.
I think some of the Jackson family may need to forgive the outside world.
Right.
I think that they're holding some grudges against the outside world for mistreating Michael, which may be true, but you still got to let go.
Gotta let it go. You gotta get peace within yourself. Shoot, man. Well, I think we should move on.
Okay.
Well, locally in St. Louis, there was a report that came out that said that in 2011, 76% of African Americans were pulled over more than anybody else. And then in 2012, it went down to 67%. Now, the state of Missouri is saying that just because these numbers are coming out, and just because these numbers are true and they're fact, doesn't mean that there is a profiling going on.
Oh, no.
So, if it's not a profiling going on,
It's just human nature.
that's what it is. Because I was going to ask that question. What is it then? And tell me, because I'm all ears. You know? So
It's not profiling. It's just good old-fashioned racism.
okay.
No, I mean, I'm very cynical about that. Maybe not. Maybe it's, driving too many red sports cars or something.
Right. So I don't know. But it sounds suspicious to me. And not to get on the conspiracy theory thing, but also a report came up that more African Americans are pulled over and taken to jail for having weed.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else that gets pulled over gets a slap on the hand or gets to keep their weed.
Yeah.
So, is there something going on here? Some people say that I'm trying to call it a black thing, but it's not a black thing. Sometimes things are just facts, man. If you look at the history, I'm praying, really, I'm praying that one day that whites and blacks, we can just get along and get past the history of what things are. You know what I'm saying? Because we know the history, we know the beginning, but does it have to stay like that?
You remind me, how recently St. Louis City, actually, they changed the marijuana laws right for the
Right.
city. They lowered the penalty. They
Right.
made it from a witch to a hoochie. I forget what those two levels
From
are.
felony to a misdemeanor.
Thank you. But what they did is it gave the police officer more discretion.
Right.
And, people were generally applauding that as a good thing, right? But then someone said, well, if you give the police officer more discretion, that's going to lead to more discrimination, and because then the police officer can pick and choose who gets arrested or who gets fined.
Right, and then secondly, can I say something, please? We've been here for 400 years. We're not going back. We don't know anything about Africa. Okay? We can't speak the language or anything. So, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
And when you go back to Africa, the Africans are like,
What the hell?
What's wrong with you, Yankee?
Get out of here. They don't want us
You're
either.
Americans. Get out of my face.
But on a real tip, we're being funny about this. We're going to be here. Let's just get along. I know Rodney King said it while he was getting whooped on the highway, but come on. Can't we all just get along?
That's funny, that Rodney King thing. Bill made fun of him for that, but that's like, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding?
Hey, I don't know. But that's the Bill Frantz Show.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it. Peace out, babies.